Right now, creeping through the cracks in your driveway pavement, is a humble plant with striking red stems. This unassuming species harbors a secret: it contains more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon, not by weight, but per individual leaf. This botanical marvel has sustained human life for 4 millennia, enduring the rise and fall of civilizations. In 2022, a team of Yale scientists unveiled its most shocking attribute, something they deemed a biological impossibility. The corporate herbicide industry pours billions into marketing campaigns, specifically engineered to ensure you never learn this plant's name. Its story, however, predates modern chemistry by millennia. In 1050 BC, in the quiet hills of northern Greece, someone carefully sealed seeds inside a clay storage vessel. When archaeologists finally opened this relic 3,000 years later, they found thousands of minuscule black seeds, each barely a millimeter wide, the identical species thriving right outside, nestled between the excavation stones. By the 7th century BC, these same tenacious seeds were documented within the Semian Herion, recognized as one of the most sacred sites in ancient Greece. 3 centuries later, the famed philosopher Theophrastus included detailed cultivation instructions in his texts, urging farmers to sow the seeds in April alongside their essential, traditional crops. This was clearly not considered a weed, it was a revered food source. The Roman Empire ensured its cultivation spanned 3 continents, and during the medieval period, Europeans routinely consumed it with almost every meal. In 1288, when Bonvazin de Riva compiled a comprehensive list of everything consumed in Milan, this plant earned its place not as a curious novelty, but as an absolute dietary staple. This remarkable species is Purslane, Portulaca oleracea, the plant that resolved a biochemical paradox scientists didn't even realize existed, and the one we have been systematically programmed to destroy. Sometime after 1492, Purslane undoubtedly crossed the Atlantic. However, when European settlers first recorded seeing it in Massachusetts in 1672, later archaeological findings revealed it had already been an established part of the American landscape for over 2,500 years. Seeds discovered in Ontario date back to 1350 AD, and others in Kentucky trace to 800 BC. Indigenous Americans had long been cultivating it as part of the Eastern agricultural complex, utilizing it alongside staples like sunflowers, squash, and quinopods. What did 2 populations, separated by a vast ocean, both instinctively understand about this plant's crucial nature? In 1960, physiologist Ansel Keys initiated the landmark 7-country study, an ambitious effort to decipher why certain global populations seemed impervious to heart disease while others succumbed to it at epidemic rates. Over 50 years, he meticulously monitored 12,763 men across 7 nations. The initial results shattered every prevailing assumption. The farmers of Crete, for example, consumed some of the highest fat diets worldwide. More than 35% of their total daily calories came from fat. Based on contemporary nutritional dogma, this demographic should have been plagued by mass heart attacks. Instead, they registered the lowest cardiovascular mortality rate Keys had ever documented, significantly lower than Japan, Finland, or anywhere else measured. For 2 decades, scientists mistakenly attributed this protective effect to olive oil, the monounsaturated fats, and a vague notion of Mediterranean magic. Then, in the 1980s, a dedicated research team revisited the frozen blood samples from Keys' original cohort. They weren't analyzing cholesterol, they were specifically looking for omega-3 fatty acids. They discovered that the Cretans possessed 3 times the omega-3 levels of the Dutch population, yet they were not consuming 3 times more fish. The actual source was Purslane. They consumed it every single day, in fresh salads, thick stews, sautéed with olive oil, and fed to their chickens and goats. The animals consumed the Purslane, the people ate the animals. The entire island's healthy food chain was fundamentally driven by a single plant that flourished wildly in every field. When Dr. Artemis Simopoulos conducted a definitive analysis of Purslane in 1992, the data appeared nearly unbelievable. The plant contained between 300 and 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, per 100 grams of fresh leaves. This potency meant it held 5 to 7 times the omega-3 content of spinach and an astonishing 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. Scientifically, it was confirmed as the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever recorded. But the story grows even stranger. Terrestrial plants simply do not produce EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, which is a marine omega-3 typically sourced only from fish and algae, not from backyard gardens. Yet, Purslane produces trace amounts of EPA. When Simopoulos initially published these findings, some scientists immediately questioned potential sample contamination, a possibility that was thoroughly disproven. Furthermore, Purslane provides 7 times more vitamin E than spinach, 6 times more beta-carotene than carrots, and contains powerful concentrations of melatonin, glutathione, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. This combination of factors establishes it as one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever subjected to analysis. The consequential lion diet heart study aimed to test whether the traditional Cretan diet could genuinely save lives. Researchers monitored 605 patients recovering from recent heart attacks. Half received the standard, low-fat cardiac diet, the other half followed a Mediterranean regimen rich in purslane, walnuts, and omega-3 fatty acids. After a 5-year period, the group consuming the omega-3 rich diet experienced 70% fewer deaths, not just 70% fewer recurring heart attacks, but 70% fewer deaths from all causes. The trial had to be prematurely halted because maintaining the control group on the standard recommended diet was deemed ethically unconscionable. So, if this plant holds such power, why isn't purslane in every grocery store? Why does the majority of the public dismiss it as a mere weed? The answer may lie in a 2022 publication in Science Advances, where Dr. Erica Edwards and her team at Yale published findings that completely redefined our understanding of plant photosynthesis. They had been studying purslane specifically because it accomplished the seemingly impossible. It flourished under extreme drought conditions while simultaneously maintaining a growth rate faster than almost any other plant. Most plants employ C3 photosynthesis, which is only efficient when abundant water is available. Crops like corn and sugarcane evolved C4 photosynthesis, which can cope with higher temperatures but still demand significant hydration. Desert species, such as cacti, rely on CAM photosynthesis. These plants open their pores solely at night to collect carbon dioxide when temperatures are cool, sealing them during the scorching day. This method minimizes water loss, but it inherently results in extremely slow growth. Scientists were aware that purslane could utilize both C4 and CAM pathways. Previously, they hypothesized that the plant used C4 activity in one section of the leaf and CAM activity in another, keeping the two systems structurally separated. When the Yale team mapped the gene expression across individual purslane cells, they made a stunning discovery: both systems were operating within the exact same cells at the exact same time. C4 activity was engaged during the day for rapid growth, while CAM activity was simultaneously running at night for drought survival, with the products of the CAM reactions feeding directly into the C4 pathway. Edwards stated this unique combination of traits has created a kind of superplant. No other species on Earth exhibits this capability. It's a mechanism where the same enzymes are recruited for distinct functions at different times within the same localized cellular space. It's akin to discovering a car engine that runs simultaneously on both gasoline and electricity within the same combustion chamber, rather than switching between two separate power sources. This botanical powerhouse requires only 1/5 of the water that corn needs to survive. It flourishes in soil so saline that most conventional crops would wither and die within days. A single plant can produce up to 200,000 seeds, and each seed can remain viable underground for up to 40 years. Furthermore, any stem fragment that merely touches the ground immediately roots into a new, independent plant. You cannot eradicate it with heat, you cannot destroy it with drought. One university study on solarization, the process of covering soil with plastic to superheat it and sterilize the ground, concluded that for purslane to perish, everything that could go right did go right, yet still, the plant persisted. This incredible survivor is precisely the plant the herbicide industry has formally declared war on. The global herbicide market is projected to reach $40 billion in 2024, and giants like Bayer, Syngenta, and Corteva all sell chemical products specifically formulated to kill purslane in residential lawns, ornamental gardens, and vast agricultural fields. They deploy compounds like meathrin, isox, indoflam, and 2,4-D, the same chemical weapon developed during World War II that the Scots Company aggressively marketed to American homeowners starting in 1947. Homeowners' associations prohibit its existence. Agricultural extension offices widely publish detailed eradication guides. The entire modern infrastructure of horticulture treats purslane as a relentless, invasive enemy, not because it ecologically damages native ecosystems, but purely because it cannot be commercially controlled. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot genetically modify its seed coat to render it sterile. You cannot create a proprietary hybrid variety that forces farmers to buy new seeds annually. It has been reproducing freely, without restriction, for 4,000 years, and it will continue to reproduce regardless of corporate intervention. Every alternative source of omega-3 fatty acids is a tightly controlled commodity. Wild fish populations are collapsing globally. Farmed salmon operations demand massive, complex infrastructure. Flaxseed oil quickly turns rancid. Fish oil supplements retail for $20 a bottle. Meanwhile, purslane grows entirely for free in nearly every climate zone inhabited by humans. It yields more omega-3 per acre than any cultivated crop, yet it asks for nothing more than sunlight and the occasional rain shower. The plant poised to revolutionize how humanity sources food is currently classified by authorities as the world's most common weed. Across the globe, people still embrace purslane. In India, they call it kulfa. In Greece, it's known as glista. Mexicans frequently enjoy verdolagas, sautéed simply with garlic and chili. In China, it has been continuously cultivated for thousands of years as mashizan. Throughout Turkey, Iran, and the broader Middle East, it remains a beloved component of summer salads and meze spreads. Half the world's population never lost this ancient knowledge. The other half was systematically instructed to eradicate and poison it. When contemporary climate models project where our current staple crops will first begin to fail, they consistently point to semi-arid zones, areas where rainfall is already tenuous and worsening. These are the precise, difficult conditions where purslane effortlessly thrives. Corn and wheat demand between 20 and 30 inches of annual rainfall. Purslane can complete its entire life cycle on just 6 inches. Soybeans halt photosynthesis entirely once temperatures climb above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, purslane only accelerates. The essential solution we desperately need is already growing under our noses. Learn how to accurately identify purslane. Look for its thick, characteristically red stems and its succulent, paddle-shaped leaves that generally grow flat along the ground. The stems are always smooth, never hairy. When you snap one, the inside is juicy and almost translucent. Its flowers are tiny and yellow, usually tucked discreetly between the leaves. Stop poisoning it immediately. If it appears in your garden, let it flourish. If it is coming up between your patio stones, choose to eat it instead of spraying it. Harvest it young, ideally within the first 6 weeks, when the leaves are at their most tender. Eat it raw in salads for a distinctly lemony, slightly salty crunch. Sauté it lightly like spinach, or blend it into your daily smoothies. You can pickle it, add it to stews, or dry it for winter storage. And crucially, save the seeds. One single plant generates hundreds of thousands. Allow just a few plants to go to seed, collect them in late summer, and you will have enough supply to cultivate an entire garden or generously share this knowledge with everyone you know. Commit to teaching someone else this fundamental skill. Every single person who learns to recognize Purslane is one more individual who stops viewing food solely as a product procured from a store. It is one more person who understands that the most potent, nutritious plants on earth are often the very ones we have been trained for decades to destroy. The herbicide industry desperately does not want you to realize that the richest source of natural omega-3 fatty acids is currently thriving in your driveway. The pharmaceutical industry certainly does not want you to know that the supplement they charge $20 a bottle for is attempting to chemically replicate what Purslane provides entirely for free. And the agricultural industry does not want you to know that the super plant scientists are struggling to engineer has already been perfected by nature. It is called Purslane. It has nourished and sustained humans for 4,000 years, and it is in your driveway right now. If my video has opened your mind to something profound, please subscribe to the Cultivation to Processing channel and click the bell icon. Every like and share helps us preserve this valuable wisdom. The next treasure trove will be revealed soon.